So compared to Australia, Malta is a much more advanced country. There's a lot more things in Malta to enjoy, to procure, to have. Everything is here. It's a highly advanced nation. It's surprisingly advanced. It's probably more advanced than several European nations on top of that. I don't know if it's more advanced than Germany. That's a big call. I personally don't think it is. But when we're talking about advanced what? Advanced manufacturing? Obviously. But other things like the food scene, I mean, I've been to Spain, I've been to Italy, I haven't been to Germany, I've been to Zurich, and all these places have brilliant food, but none of them come close to Malta. So I rewrit the legend. The food in Burgos is fucking top notch, but Malta beats it. The food in Malta is wow. So there's a lot of things in Malta that's highly advanced, and then when we go back to comparing it to Australia, the thing about Australia is that it's just got a new name. It's not really. There isn't anything about Australia that's actually more appealing than Malta, or more appealing than any Mediterranean country. As a matter of fact, when you live in Australia and you live across all the states and cities and you live in the Mediterranean, you start to wonder what kind of drugs you're on by wanting to stay there. There's really nothing happening there except nothing. There might be, sports is good. Sports is better in Australia than anywhere in the world. But then again, minus soccer, minus a few other things, and it's just it tends to be our sport mentality. I can't say our because I'm no longer Australian. The sport mentality of Australians is really good, really top notch, and there's a lot of benefit to playing sports in the as a part of the community in Australia and etc. So that's more advanced than Malta, the sporting scene. But other than that, there's not much going on in Australia that is even remotely more advanced or more appealing, which is probably a better way to put it, than living on Malta. Like, for instance, one could argue, just look at the roads, the way they are. They're more open. Houses aren't stuck together. Rah, rah, rah. But what you're neglecting to mention is the dynamics of human environments. You're neglecting to take into account spatial limitations, and the fact that Maltese houses are different in Malta than they are in Australia is just a matter of spatial limitation and preference too. But when you actually inspect what's going on in Australia, in Malta compared to Australia, I mean, you look at the seaside, and what have the Maltese done with those spatial limitations? They fucking aced it. They've made small areas the size of the Sydney CBD, because most Maltese seaside towns are the size of Sydney CBD, which is still big, roughly like 2 kilometres by 2 kilometres sort of thing. They've just put everything together and given it this unique signature, this unique Maltese housing signature that you don't find anywhere else in the world. You find similarities in Sicily, elsewhere in the Mediterranean. Oh, there are beautiful places in Greece too, like wow. But the Maltese seaside, the coastal cities and towns, they've got their own signature altogether with how everything is stuck together. But it's not nonsensical. It's actually quite brilliant, and the way they can keep on working on those buildings, putting new buildings next to it, taking some down, and so forth. I mean, they could be a bit safer with construction, but other than that, that's the Maltese nutshell. The spatial limitations. And that's what they've done with all their land. And then you go out and you look at their country land, their farming, the terraced hills, and how they do their farming and how they do everything. It's 1,000 times better than farming in Australia. You look at how, mind you, this is generations upon generations upon generations of farming knowledge. It's that imbued in the Maltese psyche. I could go out and start farming because it's something we know from birth, even though we haven't been farmers for at least 300 years. So I do have a feeling, it's not confirmed, we were farmers on the outskirts of Medina from about 1480 to roughly 1750. And after 1750, we once again started taking up carpentry and stonemasonry and everything like that because everything started to become more built up. Towns started to become built. There was more money, more prospect to make big money, which is what the Abelas always did. The Abelas classically are a big money-making family. There are billion-dollar corporations that our family owns. Billion-dollar, what's it called? Not marketing business. Hospitality business in Dubai. It's actually our family, not our direct family. We're not like directly related to them, but it is the Abela family, the Abela family. So it's us, in other words. And they're a billion-dollar company. So wherever the money is gone, the Abelas have tended to follow, whereas we have always stayed true to the military and working our main job. So it's like we've always had a trade and a specialty, but number one priority is war. So in our Abela family, our line, war. Nothing but war. So even when we were farmers, we would have been still nonetheless knights, producing knights, part of the Maltese militia, heavily involved in the Maltese security framework and war machine from as early as the 1300s. But I have this idea that we were outside Medina from around 1470, 1480 to about 1750, almost 300 years, non-stop farming. And this is in us because we haven't been farmers for at least 200 years. It's not in any of our documents. None of us know. We still, it's interesting because Abelas, they never stop passing things on. And we still pass things on that are related to horticulture or related to farming. It's like, where the fuck did this knowledge come from? We have it. Like our parents have clearly passed it on. It's our knowledge. And but we also know, because again of paperwork and what else has been passed down, what we know of our family members of the last 200 years or so, none of us have been farmers. So, and we have these weird habits of going to whenever we have a patch of land anywhere in Australia. I mean, up the road when we had half the street, when Nunu owned half the street. When Stephen lives up the road, we fucking turned it into a fucking yard of goats. Like, none of us are fucking qualified in fucking farming or any of this shit. Stephen was went to the army and then he did a mechanic trade. Nunu was a fucking shop pit joiner his whole life and also was in the army. Tino was always around cars and mechanics too. Would have joined the army, but his deafness prohibited him. Mum was just an original personal trainer, and then just whatever. None of us needed to like turn half the yard into a fucking goat yard, and then we turned our Nunu's backyard now is full of chickens and roosters. Whenever I could, I tried to grow shit in the backyard. We are growers. We are growers and raisers. It's in our blood, and that's probably indelibly marked from 300 years of doing it. From the research I did, and my point is, going full circle, that's the Maltese superiority of Australia over Australian farming. That's why the milk is fresher here. That's why everything is tastier here. That's why Malta easily has the best potatoes in the world. You do not mistake it. You will never forget Maltese chips. Even Maltese chips that are shitly made is like a delicacy compared to Australian chips. Everything is just fresher here. Everything is like literally farm to fork. It's not a cliche term. It's not just something people say and fork farm to fork, put it all over their fucking packaging, and it's probably been processed 3 times over. The fucking farmers literally deliver it to the fucking door of who processes it. It's amazing here. And just I've had a look at their farms. When I do my camping, I go through their routes, and it makes me smile. These are fucking farms. This is produce. This is natural. This is not shit. And my brain feels like a million times healthier compared to the stuff we eat in Australia. You can feel the difference. The amount of processing and shit that they put on the stuff on the farms in Australia, all the what's it fucking called? Not accelerators. So, the idea is there, but not the term. It's too early in the morning. Everything to make it grow faster and better and etc. But it's just all unnatural shit, toxins, all leaching all over our fucking food, and that gets absorbed by things like apples and pears and watermelons and lettuce and so forth, and that goes into our system. The trace minerals, everything, all that shit goes into our body, and after time, year after year. Why do you think Australian women have the highest cancer rates in the world? Because the food is shit. The Maltese, touch on wood, they have very, very low cancer rates, very low skin cancer rates. Some do get it, but they tend to have, the genes aren't traditionally Maltese, like the darkest genes, etc. But I'll stand corrected if I'm wrong, because I'm not 100%, but I do believe Malta have very, very low cancer rates. People do get cancer, people do get problems, but they're very low here compared to other nations. And the main problem here is actually just pollution from cars, car emissions. If you minus car emissions in Malta, which is what I've been trying to explain for fucking years, the air quality in Malta will be fucking phenomenal if everyone was made to only drive electric cars. The air quality in Malta would be like you were swimming in the air. That's how beautiful it would be. I'm going for a swim, Mum. Where? In the air. You're just walking outside and swimming because it's that beautiful, the air. That's how beautiful the air would be in Malta, because that's what it's like when you walk into those hills and those farming hills I was talking about, which is where I always set up camp. And oh wow, you breathe it in. You can breathe in the ocean. You can breathe in the hills. Malta is amazing. So going back to spatial limitations, you are a fucking idiot to compare a nation that's not a nation, it's a continent. You could easily subdivide Australia into 50 countries, and that's not an exaggeration. Australia is bigger than Europe, and Europe has over 50 countries. So you could easily subdivide Australia into 50 countries, and therefore it's very erroneous to look at the dynamics of Australia, their spatial dynamics, and look at the spatial dynamics of Malta and expect the Maltese to have, roads this far apart and plots like this. That's not how Malta works, and that doesn't make it any less advanced. So these are our spatial limitations. Spatial limitations. You're not going to change it. There'll be no evolution in this in any lifetime that changes that basic fact in space-time. So this is what the Maltese do with their space, and it's quite extraordinary. It's far from unsophisticated. So a lot of the tall buildings I was talking about, they're amazing. Little mini 10-story buildings all stacked next to each other. And at night when they're all lit up, it's, oh wow, fucking amazing. And right at the bottom, you've always got a new cafe or a new restaurant to go and inspect and try out. Like, my favourite is Amigos. They're 1,000 times better than Macca's. You're a fucking crazy cunt for going to Macca's. Absolutely fucking nuts, off your chops. Yeah, Amigos is 1,000,000 times better. Oh, wow. That's something you pay €10 for. I'm not going to pay €7 or €8 for a fucking Big Mac. Blech. Amigos, they've got, what's that fucking burger I keep getting? Well, I've tasted a few different burgers, mind you. I like my variety, trying new things. But there's this one burger that's just, it hits the spot every time. I'm trying to remember the name. Fuck, I'll know when I'm there. But it's a really tasty burger, and it just fucking absolutely craps on everything that's Macca's. So this Malta's got it. Malta's got Australia all over in advancements. Everything, they do everything better here. Oh, fuck me, except like I said, sports. I mean, I can, for instance, right now, if I feel like it, and I will every now and again, I can go down the road, give young mate €25. He'll equip me with the snorkels and the tank and all that shit, and I can not the snorkel, the fucking whole gas and everything, and I can go scuba diving. I can go down the road again and pay another bloke €30, jump on a jet ski and start jet skiing for a few hours. Malta's like that. Malta's just got so much more. So you can't. It's the other way around. You can't compare Australia to Malta. It's embarrassing. Malta smashes Australia in every fucking way, except for sports. And I mean, but is it that bad that Malta's intolerable? No, Malta's still got a great sports scene. It's actually it's right up there. In terms of soccer, communities around Malta are almost built around soccer. So there's still a great level of sports mentality in Malta. And if you ask me, they're actually better. They're better sports in Malta, if that makes sense. They're fairer around the whole sports scene in Malta, and they don't cheat. It defies the whole point of being a Maltese. It's an offence to the logic to cheat for any Maltese person. So they're very. I like. There's a lot here that's great in sports in Malta, nonetheless. It's not that I bet. I will never bet. But I even walked into an easy bet yesterday, like the Maltese equivalent of the TAB, and even that's more fucking pleasurable than being in a TAB. Everything's fucking better here. There's absolutely no doubt about that. It's a trillion times better. You won't, when you live here, you can't just stay for 1 week in Malta to experience it properly. As I've always said to everyone, you have to stay for at least 2 or 3 months, and you'll start to realise that Malta is a city-state that is probably 50 times more adventurous and mysterious than anything you can investigate in any US city. So, New York, there's a lot more in Malta than New York, even though the population is bigger in New York. London, so it just keeps going. All the cities of the world you could name, Malta has a lot more to explore, to see, to understand, to live. You just never get tired of it. It's when you thought you fucking discovered everything and knew everything, bang, you've explored and discovered something else. Like for me at the moment, my current thing is camping in Maltese hills, and that will probably give me 6 months to a year of exploring and understanding. And that's just Maltese hills and camping. There's a lot to explore up there. The other day I stumbled across a World War II installment, and I'm like, should I scale that and go and inspect it? And I'm like, nah, I don't know how safe it is. I don't know anything about it. Fuck it, not worth it. But it was still mysterious. It was just like, bang, right there in the hill. I'm like, oh, okay, that's just a World War II installment. That's where the guns would have been. That's where the sniper would have been, and ready for an invasion. Awesome. And no, I didn't end up scaling it and going in it. But Malta is just so much more. Malta is so much more advanced than Australia. So the idea that in Australia there's new streets and new buildings and new suburbs going up and they're designed like this and doesn't fucking mean anything. That just means that's how they work with their spatial limitations, which is basically limitless. They've got no limitations. Whereas in Malta, we don't have the luxury of doing that with our land, because if we did that with our land, we'd have to reduce our population by 90%, which would suck. But nonetheless, we found an even better way, if that makes sense, to work with those factors. And you still find massive villas in the countryside or even in some main towns with yards and all. You still find what you want if that's the lifestyle you're after. So everything is on Malta. There's absolutely no doubt. In this country, It hasn't changed. I mean, we've evolved, we've modernised, but Malta has not lost its soul. Anybody who says Malta's lost its soul is not really paying attention to what's going on.